video, I just want to say don't forget to smash that like button down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I upload, and comment down below your thoughts about it. Don't forget to enjoy! Hello everybody, this is the next session in our relationship workshop, working with a book by Katherine Woodward Thomas, Calling in the One. And in the next chapter, lesson 20 we're up to, it's called Individuation and the Ties That Bind. And what this is actually talking about is our ties to our parents, how they bind us to our parents, and how we actually sever those ties so that we can live our own life. Now, what she talks about is that in the olden days, kids from the age of 13, 14 were already out working, out earning money, getting married, having children. So in a certain sense, the moment they hit puberty, they had a sort of rite of passage already right then, which brought them into adulthood. And it was full adulthood, where they worked, they had children, they got married, they, lived together on their own, had to support their families. They didn't have any time for all the nonsense that kids today go through. Today's world, we still have certain rituals like the bar bat mitzvah in the Jewish world, and I'm sure that other cultures have their own rites of passage for kids who reach of age where they can start being semi-adults. But at least within the Western world, the rites of passage don't actually do it in a way that actually cuts the binds between us and our parents. Because even though, let's say in the Jewish, and I'm Jewish, we have the bar bat mitzvah, the child still continues to live with me or with their parents for the next, 4, 5, 6 years till they actually go out of the house. And sometimes even afterwards, they continue staying in the house. They don't go out of the house. They go to, let's say, to university or college, but they still stay with me. And many parents, and I try not to be like that, I try to give my kids a lot of freedom, but many parents still act as helicopter parents, meaning they still don't necessarily trust their kids to do the right thing, still hover over them, want to know everything about what they're doing, where they're going and everything, some of them for good reason. I'm not saying not. I say you should not, care what your kids are doing. You definitely should. But it doesn't give the child necessarily the opportunity to go out and experience life on their own, number one. And number two, sever the ties between them and their parents. When I say sever the ties, I'm not talking about that they leave and that's it. You don't see them anymore. What I'm saying is that very often we do things in order to please our parents. We'll marry someone because we'll think that's the type of person that our parents want us to marry. Or we'll go into a job because that's the type of job our parents want us to go into. I remember that when I was doing my initial studies, which was going through the normal process of an undergraduate, graduate, and then doctorate degree, my father used to write and tell everybody about it. It was his pride of everything that I was doing the doctorate. Not so much so that even though I did my doctorate in the Faculty of Agriculture at the University in Rehovot, he told everyone that I did it in the Weizmann Institute, which was right across the street, which is a much more known institute that's much more, not just more known, but has a lot, it's looked up to as a, big university. And I always say, Daddy, I don't go to Weizmann, I go to Faculta. And he's like, it's the same thing, it's the same thing. But for him, it was a big thing to be able to say, my daughter goes to the Weizmann Institute, even though I didn't. So to a certain extent, at that point in my life, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't have any, direct affinity to anything specific. And I just went in the path. He said, all right, you finished your first degree, go on to a second degree. So I went on a second degree. All right, if you're second degree, go on to a third degree. Okay, so I went on a third degree. He was proud. He could say I have a PhD. He could say, my daughter's a doctorate. But I still didn't feel like I was fulfilled. I enjoyed doing it. I did, but I didn't want to continue working in it afterwards. Do you understand what I'm saying about living your parents' dream as opposed to figuring out what your dream is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you think of times in your life when you were living out your parents' dreams as opposed to living out your own?
Definitely had peer pressure from them to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And been kind of worried. Why don't I get married and that stuff,
Mm-hmm. How old were you
So
then, by the way?
20 nothing.
20 nothing. Okay. Yes, it's good that you're not getting married. Okay. Just wanted to make that clear. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So when you got married, do you feel you did it to please them?
yeah, after I got married, so why don't you have children? You're married. Why don't you have children? Come on, the clock is ticking. The train is running away. Da, 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 da. And
And
yeah,
let me
so
ask you something else. When you chose your partner, did it have anything to do with your parents?
today I know that it definitely had.
Today, no. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At the time I didn't see it this way, but today I realize it was. Yeah,
Interesting. I mean, me also, I think that unconsciously and even a little bit consciously, I knew it then too. But I remember somewhat identifying with my mother. It was sort of like, if she can do it, I can do it. And it made me feel closer to her, which is something that I was always striving for other reasons. I mean, I think we spoke about it in earlier sessions where my parents didn't favor, but always honor the older children. And I was the
yeah,
oldest son, and oldest daughter, and I was neither of those. So,
yeah. So
okay.
it tied us. It tied us. Yeah,
And the problem is that when it ties us to what they want, we are denying ourselves what we want. And we are denying ourselves to lead the fulfilled life that we want to lead. And I think that one of the first steps that I did to break those ties was when I went into this field. I mean, I think I told you that my parents were very much against it.
yeah,
They thought that no one would ever pay me to do this type of work, and that I was wasting my money, and that I should just go out and get a job in even if it was just being a store and back of the cash register or being a secretary for a doctor or something, I should just go out and do that and, walk out of the house every day, get myself dressed up. That's what their dream for me was. And I think that it was at that point where I kind of was able to break off and say, nope, that's not where I'm going. I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to find my passion. I'm going to do my passion. It took me a while to find it, but I found it. So, and I think that parents who impose on their children their dreams are not doing their children a favor at all, at all, at all, at all. It's like children should be able to live their dreams from the very beginning. Children should be able to, fall down, make mistakes, pick themselves up, learn from their mistakes. Because if I pick them up, they're not learning from their mistake anymore. If they have to pick themselves up, then they're learning from the mistake. So let's get on with the practice that they have over here. Okay, so you basically had a mother and a father, but you didn't have any step parents, right?
step parents now.
Okay, so anyone in the audience who's watching who had step parents, do this for step parents as well, or for caregivers that took care of you, such as if you had a grandparent that was taking care of you, something like that. So answer all these questions I'm going to ask you for each one of them, for your father, for your mother, for your stepfather, for your stepmother, for your grandfather, for your grandmother, for everyone that you have, and that is that. Okay, so let's say we're taking the first one is the mother. What has your mother not fully forgiven, and for what?
Mm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to do with you, because if she hasn't fully forgiven, you might have carried that not forgiveness over and chose the same exact thing. And let me just give you an example for a moment. In the book, she brings a story about a woman whose mother had in-laws that hated her and always put her down, and had a husband who always cheated on her. The daughter picked a husband whose parents always put her down, and he himself cheated on her. And it made her feel closer to her mother, because she then called up her mother to complain, and they could commiserate together about the in-laws that put them down and the husbands that always cheat on them.
So, what your mother never forgave you for, and what was
Not you. What has your mother not fully forgiven, period? Not you, just period. And for what? That
so
was why I brought that
maybe
example.
something that she had between her and herself, right?
Yeah. But you kind of took over for her. You carried on the tradition, let's put it that way.
Mm.
And I can say clearly, for me, it was money issues. In her marriage, my father, runs the money. In my marriage, my husband ran the money. For both of us, it was terrible. My mother and father worked it out between them, and now they're happy, and I'm divorced. So
Yeah. Mm.
so it doesn't necessarily have to be something with you, just something within her and her life that she hasn't fully forgiven.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a hard one because I think there are so many things that she had between her and herself.
Just pick one of them. You can do it for all of them afterwards. You can do it on your own for all of them. Right now, just pick one of them.
Okay. So let's move forward.
Okay. What have I not forgiven my mother for? I think a few of those things.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
Okay. What did my mother always want that she did not get?
What did my mother always want,
Always
but she
want.
didn't get?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's a hard one
Well,
because I do think my mother got everything she wanted in the end. I just think that she would have preferred it to be a different way.
yeah. Well,
I don't know.
my mother got orphaned when she was 6 years old. You know, from both her parents, like they
So
died
maybe
in the war. Yeah.
she always wanted parents.
Definitely, yes, she did. So I guess she didn't get them in the way she wanted. You know.
It's interesting because I think about my parents and I say on the one hand that my mother wanted certain things and she got it, but not certain the way she wanted. But on the other hand, I think it just may be the way she wanted because their communication between them each other seems to work for them. Doesn't work for me, but it seems to work for them.
It doesn't supposed to work for you. It's supposed to work for
I
them.
I know, but when I was younger and I chose my spouse, my partner, that's where I was thinking that I would take the same. It would bring me closer to my parents if I had the same type of relationship.
Right. Right.
It didn't,
Yeah.
but that's probably what I was thinking.
And yeah.
Okay, the next question. What did your mother believe was wrong about her life that could not be changed?
Hmm. It's funny. I remember. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not answering that. I remember her saying that, the old, like, in the old paradigm of thinking, like this is fate, and
Mm-hmm.
what is written for you in the sky, and that and she said many things like that about herself. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so, and you can't change it. Like what's written, you can change. It's given.
She never met me, did she?
She never met you. What?
One of my superpowers. I can change things.
All right. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. In what ways, if any, did your mother overly or covertly pressure you to write what he or she thought was wrong about his or her own life? Meaning to fix what was wrong in their life.
In what ways she pushed you to
Overt,
believe?
overtly or covertly pressure you to fix what she thought was wrong with her own life.
To fix.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
But I'm going to give you all the questions. So there's a little meditation here that I think you'll enjoy. So I'll fill it out on your own. I'm just giving you the questions of here, and then I'll do with you the meditation in the last 7 minutes. Okay.
Okay. So let's do the meditation. It's
Well,
nice.
there's 3 more questions. So let me just say the 3 questions, and then okay, what was romantic love like for your mother? Honestly, I do not remember any romantic love for my mother or my father. I'm sure they must have had it at some point, but not in front of me.
Okay.
In what ways, if any, have I been carrying on the burden of mother's unfinished business?
Okay.
What, if anything, could I now give up that did not belong to me in the first place?
Okay. Wow. Mm.
Okay, let's do the meditation. And this you should probably do for each and every one of your um, parents or step parents or grandparents, who you did the other part for. And you'll have it recorded over here so that you can always go back and do it again. Okay, so
Okay.
close your eyes. Thoroughly relax your body and focus solely on your breath, making sure that you breathe fully and deeply into your belly for several minutes. One at a time, invite each of your parents to come sit before you in your meditation. Starting at your feet, begin weaving a vibrant blue light that runs in the shape of a figure 8 between the 2 of you. placing each of you inside one of the loops. Once you have a sense of the blue light moving between you as a figure 8, expand it upwards so that it surrounds your entire body from your feet to the top of your head. Notice that this light is always in motion, connecting you, yet allowing each of you to sit in your own separate space. Ask each parent, as he or she sits before you, to forgive you for any weakness and or failures they believe you had. To forgive you for your inability to fix that which they believed broken about their own lives. And to release you from any further obligation and or expectations they have been holding that you are not 100% aligned with. Tell each parent that you forgive them for any weaknesses and or failures you believe he or she has displayed as a parent. Forgive them for their inability to fix that which you believed was broken about your life. And release them from any further obligation and or expectations you have been holding. Some of you may find one of your parents trying to enter into your own separate loop, particularly if that one had a history of being intrusive. Do not allow that to happen. Instead, gently move them back into their own separate space and reclaim your space as your own. For still others' view, a parent might have been so toxic and or dangerous that it is better to imagine a picture of the person or a symbol of some kind rather than the actual person. If during this meditation you discover you've been carrying something that you wish to let go of, but don't necessarily want to return to your parents, for example, depression or an unresolved rage, you may offer it up to God with a prayer for release and freedom for yourself and your family. And when you are done, thank each of them for coming. Release them with a blessing to go their separate ways. Okay.
Nice.
Right, it's nice. Okay, thank you so much for coming and joining me. And I'll see you tomorrow for the money workshop.
Okay. Bye.
Don't forget, if you like this video, leave a like down below, subscribe to my channel, or subscribe to my newsletter. The address is right down below over there. Have a great week.